C and E, there will be a force on the object. Now we have these three equilibrium points, but there is some basic difference between these three equilibriums. So what is the basic difference? So if you are at point B, okay, suppose you keep a ball at point B. Now if you give a very slight disturbance to this this ball, suppose you slightly displace it in forward direction, so it will move further and it will lose the equilibrium. Okay, so at point B, if you disturb the ball at point B slightly, the ball will move further and it will lose the equilibrium. Okay, so this kind of equilibrium we call unstable. The equilibrium is there, but that is unstable. Unstable equilibrium. Unstable equilibrium. So what is unstable equilibrium? What is meaning of unstable equilibrium? I'm writing here unstable equilibrium. So if you displace the object slightly from its equilibrium, it will lose the equilibrium. Okay, it will move further and it will lose the equilibrium. If object displaced slightly from this position, if object displaced slightly from this position, it moves further and loses equilibrium. Okay, second point we can see point D. So for point D, what we have for point D, suppose you displace the ball at point D, suppose you displace it in this direction. So as you displace it in this direction, this will move, experience a backward force. So it will try to come back to the original position. If you displace the ball in the leftward direction, again it will try to come back to this minimum point, energy point. Okay, so minimum energy point, it will try to come back. So this point is called stable equilibrium. Stable equilibrium. Okay, so what is stable equilibrium? Stable equilibrium is if object displaced slightly from this position, it tries to come back to the original position. If object displaced slightly from this position, it tries to come back to equilibrium position. Okay, so this is a stable equilibrium. Now we can see third point, point F. So F, if you displace the object slightly, it will neither move forward nor it will move backward. So this is called neutral equilibrium. Okay, so what is neutral equilibrium? So neutral equilibrium is if object displaced it remains in displaced position without any further development of force. It remains in displaced position. It remains in displaced position without experiencing any force. Without experiencing any force. Okay, so what are the examples? So example is, this was example for these points are what? This is example is B, and for this one the example is B, and for this one example is F. Okay, and what are these points? If you see these points are actually the maximum energy point. This is the maximum energy. Okay, so unstable equilibrium corresponds to maximum energy point. Maximum energy. Okay, and this corresponds to minimum energy. Minimum energy point. So this is what? D is corresponding to minimum energy. Okay, and what about F? The F has constant energy. Neither minimum nor maximum, constant energy. Okay, so if you move nearby points, there is no change of energy. So this is corresponding to constant energy. Okay, we can see the force in terms of equation also. So whatever force is acting, that we can see in terms of equation also. So suppose consider this point. Consider a point just left to B, just left to B here. So at this point, du by dx is what? Positive. At this point, just left to B, the point du by dx is positive. So du by dx is positive means the force will be negative. Why? Because of negative sign. So force is negative means as you displace the object towards left direction, the force will be negative. The object will move further in the left direction like this. Okay. Similarly, if you go to the right side of B, the slope du by dx is negative. So du by dx is negative. So negative of negative, the force will be positive. So object will have to experience positive force, the forward direction force. So the object will slide further and it will move down. Now come to D. At D, if you go to the slightly right side, so right side, the du by dx is positive. So du by dx positive means force will be negative. So force negative means as you shift it rightward, the force will be in backward direction towards the center. Okay. Now if you take the object and shift it towards left side, if you shift it towards left side, the force will be the du by dx will be negative at this point. Negative at this point. Du by dx is negative. If du by dx is negative means negative of negative, the force will be positive. So object will be pushed in forward direction. Okay, and at this point du by dx is always 0. So whether it will move forward or backward, in all cases the force is 0. So this is all about the concept of equilibrium, and there are three kinds of equilibrium: unstable, stable, and neutral. Unstable has maximum energy, which you can relate with the top of a mountain. Stable equilibrium has minimum energy, that you can relate with the trough near the mountain. And neutral equilibrium is the place where energy is constant, potential energy is constant, and that you can equate with the plane region.